Hey there, this is Creation Images, where I share my in-the-field landscape photography, the skills I've learned over 20 years of hiking and backpacking in the wilderness, as well as the insights and the inspirations that I've received along the way. If you're new here, go ahead and click on the subscribe button and ring the bell below so that you can receive notification every time I come up with a new adventure. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful to you, and I really appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching. Welcome everyone. Here I am heading up into the Gore Range of Colorado. It's middle of June and it's snowing. Well, as you can see, it's kind of a snow sleet mix here. And I really don't know what to expect on this trip. I'm heading into a wilderness area that is very isolated. So I've got a good trail for the first couple of miles, and then after that it's just bushwhack time for another 3 or 4 miles up into the drainage. And I'm told that that bushwhack is a killer. Lots of avalanche debris down and bogs, which are just going to be worse with the weather. So there's a number of things that could stop me from getting very far on this trip. And then me, in my infinite wisdom, decided to not bring a tent. Instead, I brought a tarp to be able to build a lean-to with, and my bivy sack. So I may end up spending a lot of time just wet and miserable, but wet and miserable up here is probably better than a good day down in town. So I'm planning to just soak up any experience I can, take it for what it's worth, learn something, and just know that this is life. And I'm excited to get up into it and find out what's gonna happen. Because truthfully, I have no idea.
Clearly the weather sucked, but as they say, bad weather makes good photos. You gotta have clouds since blue skies are boring. At sunrise and sunset, clouds can give you beautiful color in the sky and reflected light onto the landscape, and clouds can give your scene atmosphere and mood. Still, I was worried. It was cold, muddy, and miserable. I would need to fully embrace these conditions because I was going to be living in them for a while. It wasn't just being miserable that I was worried about. You are just as likely to get skunked in bad weather as you are getting a portfolio shot. If the clouds are just socked in, you get flat, gray skies. The clouds might cover the high peaks completely and there's nothing to shoot. Or the clouds might be nice where you are, but the horizon is choked by clouds, and you get a terrible light at sunrise and sunset. You have to have the perfect recipe. Clear horizons at sunrise or sunset, clouds that are breaking up within your scene, and the perfect photo subject that gets light with an interesting foreground. That is a lot to ask.
Some of the mountains have started to peek through the clouds, so I'm hoping to get up where I can see a little bit better and start taking some photos. This is gonna be cool.
This was a great shot that was totally unexpected. The lifting storm provided this incredible, foreboding mood that was exactly how I was feeling moving up into this trailless wilderness. Was I going to find all of those ingredients in all of this chaos? Onward into the muck I went.
Some of you are probably wondering why I'm wearing trail runners, which aren't waterproof in such a boggy, muddy mess. But I've got a secret technique I'd like to share with you here a little bit later on in the video about how to stay comfortable in these kind of conditions. All right, I'm gonna get my feet taken care of here. So the secret to the trail runners while you're hiking in snow and mud and water is trail runners are super lightweight and they dry out very quickly. So if you get Gore-Tex waterproof boots, they stay waterproof for a little while, but then they get soaked through, and then they're going to be sopping wet, and all that leather gets really heavy, and it's going to be wet and heavy for your entire trip while you're out. But the trail runners will dry out over some time. So what I've done is I have my pair of socks and a pair of plastic bags that I actually hiked in, and the plastic bags didn't keep my socks from getting soaked, but they're actually just soaked from the inside from sweat. And the shoes, of course, are sopping wet from all my hiking. So what I'm going to do is swap out the socks for a dry pair of socks, and I'm going to cover the dry pair of socks with another plastic bag. So here are my dry socks, another plastic bag, and then the heat from my feet moving around and setting up camp and everything will dry the trail runners out, so that hopefully by midday tomorrow or so they'll be completely dry. And also my feet will be toasty, warm and dry, and I don't have to worry about carrying the weight of a pair of sandals or another pair of shoes or whatever for the camp. These are my camp shoes and they're my hiking shoes. All right, I got day 2 up here in the Gore Range. It's about, I don't know, about 5 minutes or so before sunrise. The wind just howled and howled last night, shaking my tarp shelter over and over. So I didn't get much sleep. And this morning I really did not want to get up and come out here into the brunt of the wind. So hopefully that doesn't affect me too much. But let me show you what I got set up here. This is a shot that I scouted last night. It was completely socked in clouds last night, so wasn't much of a photo opportunity, but it was a good chance to scout. And I like this composition with the slope coming down through here and the rocks in the foreground, and then the mountain range in the background with the lake there in the midground. And hopefully here in just a couple of minutes the light is going to come streaming through here, and it's just going to be awesome. I checked out the horizon. I was able to see that on my hike in, and it looks like the horizon is completely clear. So here within just a couple of minutes I should be getting some great light, and I'll be taking hopefully some amazing photos. So I'll show that to you here in just a second. I am so glad that I got up this morning. This light is amazing. And that's pretty much exactly the composition that I have in the camera. I've got the slope coming through here, midground is the lake, and that gorgeous light, which I'm gonna just shoot here again, is amazing. The other thing I love about this shot is the clouds. I have had such a hard time getting clouds in my photos because it just seems like anytime there's not clouds on the horizon, there's no clouds in the sky at all. But this morning I've got the best of both worlds, which is just awesome. Oh yeah, this is gonna be an awesome shot. This may have just made my whole weekend. There. So here's another shot that I just set up and try to get those clouds with the mountains just way down here in the bottom. So something kind of like this.
All of the worry and muck seemed to dissolve away with the coming of dawn's light. I spent the rest of the weekend exploring for good compositions and taking commando-style shots when good light and good clouds came through. Extended time in the backcountry is the best way to ensure that you can capture good images, especially if the forecast is showing unsettled weather. By being absorbed in the landscape, you have so many more opportunities to actually get that great shot. The quiet of the wilderness clears your head and helps your creativity flow. In fact, I had a life-changing epiphany while making my backcountry pizza. The description below has a link where you can read all about it.
Well, before I wrap up this trip and this video, I wanted to share a couple of lessons I learned from this whole ordeal. First of all is the importance of scouting out your locations first. My 2 sunrise photo shoots were had the best compositions they probably could have, based on the fact that I had scouted out the night before. And not only did I scout it, but I actually drew arrows in the snow and all kinds of things, so I knew the exact route to get to that location, knew the exact lens I was going to use, and was able to get there right away and get those shots taken. So scouting is great, but then the reverse is also true. Last night I had some amazing photos and they were all spur of the moment. They just happened. So kind of be aware of changing conditions, and just being out here is what gives you that opportunity to get the shots. But the other lesson I really learned is about clouds and cloud cover and how important clouds are to your composition. But clouds are a mixed blessing, because a lot of times you don't get light if you have the clouds. So like this morning, I had beautiful light, but a very boring sky. Yesterday, all of the photos I took that ended up being great had clouds in them. So in thinking about how to plan trips so that you do have the best opportunity for cloud cover, what I have been trying to do is finding where the horizon is, where the sun is going to be coming up on the horizon relative to where my shooting location is, and getting the cloud cover forecast as close to 0 in that location as possible. And then in the area where I'm shooting, have the cloud cover forecast be somewhere in the 50 to 60% range. Now, getting those two variables to line up at the same time can be very difficult, but without a clear horizon, you're not going to have the light coming in, but then you also want to have the cloud cover directly where you are. So, not thick clouds, just light, puffy, sporadic clouds. And the 2 tools that I use for that are photographer's ephemeris. I'll put a pin where I'm located and then draw the line following the sunrise all the way out to the horizon, and then you can check that out, the photographer's ephemeris. And then also I use the National Weather Service to find out what that cloud cover forecast looks like. So anyway, those are the lessons I've learned, and I think this weekend it really paid off. So now I'm just going to be heading back down to my camp and breaking camp and heading home. Hopefully I'll be able to find my way through this long bushwhack. Got about 5 miles worth of trailless terrain to get through, and I realize that my GPS is almost out of battery. So that's going to be an adventure getting home. And until next time, thanks for being here.